Welcome to the Confident Grief Coach Show.
Hi, I am Pat Shevland, founder of the Confident Grief Coach School.
And I'm Cami 𝐲𝐲𝐬, Advanced Certified Grief Coach and founder of Embodied Grief Support Coaching.
We believe as professionals, it is important to have a forum where we can gather as a community to really talk about all things body, mind, and spirit when it comes to grief.
We will be sharing stories, discussing thought-provoking ideas, and interviewing others who work in the field of grief and those who have the lived experience of creating lives of peace and purpose after experiencing deep loss.
Information about Cami's Embodied Grief Support Coaching Services or the Confident Grief Coach Certification Program can be found in our show notes below.
Thank you for joining us at the Confident Grief Coach Show. And if you like what you're hearing or would like us to focus on a specific topic in the future, please hit the like and subscribe button to stay connected.
Hi, Cami.
Hello, Pat.
Here it is, midweek. We're midweek right now as we're recording. It's the last week of the month of March. We're both in Minnesota. We experienced probably our first snowstorm of the whole season, right? And it was like, wow, where did this come from? And I saw some Facebook posts like memes or whatever, like, it's just not as pretty as it generally is in November, December. It's like when this beautiful snow comes in, but it just, people just don't. So how have you fared through the winter weather that we just had the last couple days?
I'm doing my best to embrace it, actually. I like the brightness of the snow, and there's been this kind of, it's like, the heavy kind of snow because it's melty. So it's got this just weight, this kind of grounding kind of like I just want to be held by this sloshy snow. And I want it to be sunny, and I want it to just like to go out and these big snowflakes in the air. It's been really pretty. I've been enjoying it. But it's got this different kind of energy because it's very much springtime. So like the world is still kind of active and the birds are out and about, yet it's like here's this heavy snow
Yeah.
that's falling down. So it's been interesting, but I've been embracing it. It's helping me feel grounded.
Good for you. I didn't go out of the house for 2 days. I mean, I've been busy working and I got a lot going on with the school and we got graduation this week and, starting up another class next week. So I've been like, well, I guess this is meant for me to just like, hunker down.
Mhm.
And then last night I looked out the window and I actually took a picture and put it on Facebook. It was like, oh, there was like a little bit of red in the sky, and you could see the break in the clouds for the first time in 2 days. And today it's beautiful and sunny and blue skies and it's lovely, lovely.
Mhm.
Well, I
Funny
wanted,
how
well, go ahead.
it's funny how those things change so much, and that's kind of what I was gonna segue into this theme of the evolution, and I think seasons and weather kind of go with this idea of this change and this evolution. So yeah, tell me about it.
Well, like I mentioned before we got on the recording is I got these cards from this woman and they're not like I mean I think people I don't what do you call those cards like where people will get a
The
card,
tarot cards,
not tarot but the other kind,
the
like
oracle ones.
oracle type cards, but this is
Mhm.
not like it doesn't have any booklet with it. It has nothing there except you pull a card, you shuffle them like you would, and you just pull a card, like, just kind of go in your heart's desire. What do I need to know today? And I actually pulled this 2 days ago, which is interesting, but I've hung on to it. And the card I pulled just has one word on it, and it's evolve. And I shared this, and I don't know if people on the will be able to see it, but it's like this beautiful woman, but it's like the moon cycles, and we just went through a full moon. There's a butterfly, there's a dove of peace, it looks like. I mean, there's just some like really cool stuff. And I started thinking about evolution and evolution in grief, right? It's evolved. I mean, even just our conversations about it have evolved. And I just feel like we're in a huge evolutionary period. And I don't know, I just thought it would be fun to chit chat about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think there is an incredible opportunity for evolution when we're faced with grief and loss. Like it seems, of course, very unwelcomed because we don't want someone to be dying, or oftentimes it doesn't have to be about death. It can be about, a big shift or a change, and maybe it is a positive change, yet there's still these layers of grief that come with the change as things are evolving. And I think it can be really uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It's like whenever we step into this newness, whatever, even if it's welcomed or if it's not welcomed, like this phase of your life without this person, that evolution comes with grief as this change is occurring. And we're in the mystery of the unknown and we don't know what things are going to be like. And our whole system freaks out.
Yep.
It's like, what am I doing? What is this newness? I don't know how to do this. Now I have to learn this new way of being. So I like this idea of evolution and grief. I'm curious what your thoughts are.
As you're talking, I want to share. So, about a year ago, a group of us reconnected with a high school friend, and he was challenged with cancer. And all of us got together and he started a group, like a text message group, and would share with us like his journey. And he went into depth with like the highs and the lows of his different cancers and, how things would show up and the surgeries and all of that. But he was like this bright light. He was always positive and sending jokes. And he like would keep everybody else would be, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that you're going through this, Mike, and this type of thing. But he died just over the weekend, I think it was.
Hmm.
I don't know. But anyway, so here we are. We're all in our mid 60s, right? And I'm noticing that some of us are like, this makes sense. It makes sense, and that how we have evolved in our thinking is this isn't an ending. And oh my gosh, if you believe in anything beyond this life, it's like, wow, he's no longer like in this horrible pain
Hmm.
and he allowed himself to go and evolve. But I also noticed that there's some that they're really struggling. And I don't know if it's because of the concept of our own mortality because we're in our mid 60s possibly. But it's interesting. So there's that some of us have evolved into like more of the spiritual maybe aspect. We all have that, but maybe not taking it to the depths of tragedy and tragic grief
Hmm.
where others are like, wow, I'm just shocked. I'm shocked. And I wasn't. So I don't know. I don't know what that has to do, but it's like, I think there's a whole evolutionary thing there as far as maybe it is our experience, our lived experiences, and then we evolve with that. I think that um, evolution just in like the work you and I do. So we talk about this all the time. We love it. We embrace it, where other people don't. So I don't know. That was just kind of off the wall, just kind of meandering.
Hmm. Well, I think that's really valid because with change, with especially if we have some experience with navigating really big changes, like someone's alive and now they're dead, or even big changes in other parts of your life as well, that evolution, when we have those lived experiences, does change your perspective and how you handle those transitions. And I think, yeah, me and you in this work can see the potential of when we can allow ourselves to be present with this change and the evolution and the expansion that can come with embracing these experiences and expanding the way that you view the situation. Maybe it is from this space of, humanness and then into the spirituality that can help us to see things in a different
Mm,
way.
yeah.
And I think I love to watch people's grief experience in that way open up to these larger ideas. Because of course, when we're hit with the news, we might take it really, really bad. We might be so upset and very, very much in that human experience of feeling that loss. Yet when we can go to those depths and be present with the discomfort of the unknown and learn this new way of being and be there for it all, then we notice that as we evolve through that process, we're opened up to these bigger, more expansive ideas that can be really comforting and can open us up to these larger ideas that really help us have trust and faith in the whole process.
And I'm just thinking evolutionary too, like in grief. I'm just, animals and trees and plants and human beings, we've all been part of an evolutionary process over the last thousands and thousands or forever, tens of thousands of years, right? To adapt to where we need to be for survival, right? It was really
Mm,
more survival, but it feels like the evolutionary process for humans now is evolving more into the spiritual or the in belief and faith and trust and into things like that versus I just need to evolve just to stay alive and not have that tiger, saber-toothed tiger eat me type
mm.
thing. So, and then, but then you take a look at like animals, and I don't know about this, but I don't know if you know much about elephants, but they've been around for a really long time and they probably haven't like had a lot of evolution in terms of the way that they look and act and that type of thing. And they have this very loving, like if the mama elephant dies, the elephant tribe, I don't know what they call a group of elephants, will actually take in the little and
Oh,
and nurture, and that little then becomes part of that tribe of elephants. And so it's like maybe other species have evolved on this whole death spectrum before we have.
mm,
That's a juicy thought,
curious.
isn't that?
Mhm.
It's kind of juicy.
I think there's a lot to learn from nature when it comes to evolving. That I mean, that was a big part for me in my grief journey as well. Like the way that I understood transitions in life and death, and part of my spiritual growth very much happened in the woods. When I was in college studying biology, I went from, well, before as a kid, having lost my dad's, I grew up Christian and I had somewhat of a faith as a kid and really believed in God. And after my stepdad died, I lost all of that. I thought there's no way there can be a God. And I rejected religion and I basically was atheist. I was just like, nope. When you die, you're dead. There's nothing more. This is it. And that was really hard for me, but I adopted that mindset for a long time. And that part of that like mindset is also what drew me to science because I thought, there's a scientific process, you can see it, there's evidence, there's all of these this, you can expect things to go a certain way kind of a thing. And when I was studying all of that, I realized that that's not at all how it goes. And that this is just one little piece of this evolutionary process that we really don't know much about, yet that we
Mhm.
can see and taste and feel and experience in a lot of different ways. And as I was out in the woods studying biology, that opened me up to my spirituality of wow, maybe there is something more as I'm feeling this connection with these energetic beings, these plants and animals and the environment and the ecology of everything. And I started to realize that maybe my religion wasn't like God anymore, but maybe it was this larger experience of the universe and nature and finding God in the earth. But something that helped me understand this process from that tactical, like wanting to see it to believe it kind of a mindset that makes sense to me is how in nature there are so many cycles and evolutions that we
Mhm.
see. Even just from, the seasons, we talk about the seasons changing, or we talk about like how something grows and then it blooms and then it dies and then it decomposes and it goes back into the soil to become this rich fertilizer for new growth.
Yeah.
And if we try to halt that process, if we say that death is bad, decomposition is bad, we're gonna embalm you and you can't even decompose in the ground. Like we try to like resist that process. Then it's like, well, then where's that rich fertilizer for the growth? How can we adopt that mindset as we are in the grief process, as we're going through the change and the heartache and those deep depths of this loss that we are experiencing? What if that was like that underground process of the bacteria and the mushrooms, like tearing
Yeah.
apart this change to evolve into this sprout and this growth and this blooming that we can open ourselves up to?
Ooh, I love that. I love that. Yeah. I mean, that's evolution, right? We're born, we're going to die, and then what is that next thing, like a plant that decomposes or an animal that decomposes and provides nutrients into the ground to allow the next thing to bud and bloom, right? And so I'm just like getting little chilly willies in my body because it's like how how awesome is it if we can help others, help each other, for all of you who are listening, help each other to go through the process, feel the grief and do your grieving, but understanding that it's an evolution, that your grief is never going to stay stagnant. It's not going to just stay one shape. It's going to move and evolve. And if you can see the evolutionary process, that there's something here that is going to make it better. Like I sent a text to my friends the day before Mike died because we knew that he was going into hospice. And I just said, he has taught us how to connect with a tribe of people. He has taught us how to really have strength and resilience in serious physical and emotional difficulties. He taught us to still have joy and to laugh. All of those things, that is the evolution of, yes, he died. It is sad. I think our sadness comes from that we watched him suffer at times, but he didn't allow us to stay in that because he would send memes. He would send, he'd be funny, or he would go into depth into the whole clinical stuff of what was going on with him. But from an evolutionary aspect, he has helped us evolve into, this is how we can be living our lives right up till the very end of our last breath, because his what gift, his energy, his life is within all of us now.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I spoke to that actually this morning, reflecting on my stepdad, because he also, even in the pain of his cancer, up till his last day, he would, even though he was so sick and low energy and couldn't really stay vertical for more than a couple hours, he still would get out of bed every day. God gave me another day. I'm thankful to be alive. I'm going to use it and I'm going to connect with my friends and family, and I'm going to laugh, I'm going to cry, I'm going to have all the human experiences in this day that I was given. And I think about that a lot, like how it can be so easy to get stuck in the grief where we feel like things aren't moving. We're stuck in that rut of a depression or a sadness, but then meeting that with, can I hold that and recognize the blessings or the humor or, this other lightness that can also come to evolve from that space as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So beautiful. So I guess that's what my takeaway today is that the evolution of grief, and we talked briefly before we got on, it's not just the death, of someone. Here in the US, the political stuff, climate is starting to emerge, because there'll be elections, and there's a lot of grief that goes with that, like what's this going to look like? And, oh, are things going to change? And, you know, people are losing their jobs because the economy is kind of sucky here in the US right now. So people are losing their jobs, and they need the financial support to pay for the roof over their heads and put food on the table and, you know, raise their children. And so there's a lot of different kinds of grief that I think is going on now. And I don't know, it's because I work in this space that I'm more aware of it, or if it just seems like there's a lot more that's impacting people, right? And so if we can think about that, this is a step in the evolution. So how we get through some of this and hold it and reframe it and allow it, and allow the feelings and feeling the feels, can help us evolve so that the next time these kind of events start occurring, maybe we put on a mantle of resilience, that, you know, a layering of that isn't that what evolution is, right? Kind of that we, you know, when you think about animals or plants or whatever, they evolve so that they can survive in their elements, right? And it's almost like resiliency and evolution to me all of a sudden is like these two have just like coalesced right now.
Yeah, I think that's helpful to remember when we do feel like we are in the thick of it and we're in that uncomfortable change and, you know, the grief of a situation, whether or not it's death related. You know, grief comes with change, grief comes with the death of something. It doesn't have to be the death of a person. But I think, yeah, zooming out and recognizing that, okay, like, how can we adapt and evolve to this to become more resilient and to work our way through this, knowing that there's a bigger thing in the works here with how things are showing up right now, and our role in this very transient time. Just, yeah, we can either evolve with the changes, or we can be stuck and get left behind. You know, I think
Yep.
it's a challenge to be present with all of this, and to step into the discomfort of the unknown and learn as we go. And we might be really surprised with the potential and the growth that we can show up for when we can challenge ourselves to be there for all of that.
Yeah, because I mean, going back to nature, just think of how, so there's this butterfly right on this card. I have butterflies on there because it's all about transformation today, right? Because we have a graduating class with our confident grief coach later on today. But the struggle that this caterpillar, right? The struggle of it just like totally becoming mush, total mush inside its little cocoon. And then have you ever watched a butterfly like emerge, like after it's been in there, and then you have to YouTube it. Everybody who's listening, go find a YouTube of the transformation of a caterpillar into a butterfly. And so it goes in, and then when it's ready to come out, it's fascinating to watch. Go to a butterfly garden or something like that. But it starts, this butterfly now is something totally different. And then it's trying to crawl out, and its legs, you know, those long legs are trying to get it out, and it's pulling itself up, and you just know it's got to be like, oh my gosh, this is so freaking hard. This is so freaking hard. And what the heck happened to me? I was this like crawly thing on the ground, and I didn't have these long, now I got these long things. And then it gets out, and then all its wings are like sloppy wet and sticky and stuck to its body. And then it gets up into the air, you know, it's kind of standing up a little bit, and then the wings start drying. And then all of a sudden it's like the wings are dry, and now it can fly. And it's this beautiful, gorgeous creature that you would have never thought would have come out of that caterpillar. And to me, that's evolution, and that's grief. But the butterfly has been my thing since I was a little girl. And I'm sure it was like something that was in my soul, because that was so transformative for me doing a little science project when you talked about science earlier, that was my science project in like 2nd grade, but it's been a part of my business. And the symbol, the icon or whatever, because that is evolution. That is transformation. And you and I know that no matter how hard it gets and how deep that grief cuts like a knife, that we can evolve. And there is that potential while still honoring it and holding it and feeling the crappiness and struggling like that little butterfly trying to come out. It ain't easy. But that's why we do what we do. It's like, we're going to be there for people. Right. And so if any of you are watching and you're just feeling like, I'm struggling in this stuff now, and I'm ready to emerge. I'm ready to be that butterfly. I'm ready for this transformation to kind of take hold. You know how to reach us in the show notes. And we talked briefly, Cami, before we came on here, and I know we have to go pretty soon, but like, who are the people that you really love to help? And you talked about kids, because you were that kid.
Yeah, I was the grieving kid, for sure. And for me, I think, just based on my lived experiences, I relate to that person or to the kid that's losing a parent or going through this scary evolution. Evolving as a kid and growing as a kid is hard enough. And I think when we're met with this other layer of change of, experiencing a parent's divorce or a loss of a parent and this change in the family household, I have a soft place in my heart for holding that evolution. And then also for the adult, the butterfly on the other end of that still has the inner child, the inner caterpillar. That's just like, it's easy to, like, I think, get stuck in that struggle and to hang on to things of the past. So that's who I love to work with, are the younger kids and young adults who have experienced a big change like that in the early years.
Yeah. And that, I think, is just like so important. Like I told you, and for the younger kids, helping their parents to help them is super, super important. So if you're watching this, Cami and I share this on YouTube, we meet every week, but if you're sitting there thinking, oh, there's something that resonates for me, either I'm a young adult and I'm feeling wobbly because I'm grieving, there's a lot of stuff going on, or if you are the parents who maybe you lost a child, but you had other children who are, like in my growing up family, my parents lost a child and my two older brothers were there when that happened. Getting support from someone like Cami, you can reach out to her and see how you can support your kids, because she knows, she's been there, she's done that, she's witnessed it, she's experienced it. And look at her, you're here, she's smiling, she's got a bright smile, she's got bright energy. So you're proof in the pudding that we can transform and really have a wonderful, beautiful life and make a difference in the lives of others, which is part of evolution too, I believe. Like the elephants taking care of the littles. So this just kind of went all over the place, didn't it?
Well, thank you for the shout out. I appreciate that. I think it's, the evolution is never ending. It just keeps cycling. And speaking of, kids and growing up in this evolutionary process, like, I mean, for me, a big part of my evolution that keeps cycling around is that relationship with your inner child, with the grieving inner child that keeps showing up again and again. And she's asking for that love and the attention, and to go back and reparent myself. to continue to evolve as I keep growing and as I'm still being parented by my dads in the non-physical, and some of this evolution that I'm continuing to open up to. It's fascinating to just like it never ends, right? There's these continuous experiences, and the dance of being with all of that can be really challenging and fumbly. And also has its moments of feeling graceful and feeling light. And it's so much fun to do this for myself and to do this for other people and help people through that process too. So
Yeah, and I think if you're feeling like you're struggling moving forward, or if things just aren't making sense, we couldn't do all of our work by ourselves. You know, we think that we're strong and capable and all of this, but the reality is you needed other people to support you in it. I've needed other people. We continue to need other people
yeah.
to support us through these challenges. And it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. And so I just, I just think it's important to call it out. And for the kids and the younger people, I think to help with them on this road of grief in a way that's going to be allowing resilience, evolution, right? Will only empower them and create a different world.
Yeah.
Right. So, well, thank you. Thank you so much for this great conversation as usual. And for everybody else, Cami's contact information is in the show notes, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Pat, and we'll see you tonight at graduation. I'm excited for more grief coaches coming into the world.
So excited. I'm so excited for them. It's awesome. So, okay, we'll see you in a bit.
Great. See ya.